I'm giving you a review on 2 moisture meters on the market that cost less than $15. Not only that, but I'll share a couple of ways that you can easily test your water moisture right now for free or with something that you probably already have at home. And as a bonus, I'm going to let you know about another product that is about the same price point that might be better than a soil moisture meter. And of course, I'll explain why. So what is the soil moisture meter? Just like it sounds, it's a tool to help you gauge moisture levels in your plants. With plants, drainage is very important. So if your plants don't get enough water because the water drains too fast, or the opposite, if they get too much water because water sits on them too long, then they won't thrive. So plants do well with just the right amount of water. And of course, each plant has different watering needs. The way that this works is that you stick it in a pot and wait 10 seconds for the results. Careful that you don't damage the roots. You only need to insert the gauge about 2 to 4 inches deep. The X-Lux moisture meter that I got shows 3 results: red for dry, green for moist, and blue for wet. Also tested a second brand, so this one had 4 levels listed. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4, where 1 was dry and 4 is wet. Here's my take on moisture meters for houseplants or potted plants. This product is probably good for you if you have the soil under control and you have the light requirements under control, and you still don't know if your plants are getting enough moisture, like if it's getting too much water or if it's not draining well, then yes, a moisture meter might be helpful for that. I can't wait to go outside and play with my plants from the spring to the fall. But that's mostly what I have. I have outdoor plants. And if that is you, if you mostly have those kinds of plants, a moisture meter is going to mean squat. For outdoor plants, Mother Nature is going to play a big role, right? So you're not the only one here working with your plants. Mother Nature is actually the boss. Check this out. I tested the soil before I poured a whole lot of water on it, and the reading changed some, but it did not show wet. And this is after it's been raining for about 10 days straight here in Georgia. No kidding. So when I saw this, I was floored, because what that really was telling me is that it's not really a watering problem, it's a water retention problem. That also shows me that my soil is probably draining too fast, and there's probably not enough nutrients in there. Also, when it rains a lot, it tends to increase the acidity of the soil. So there's a lot of problems with my soil right now, and so I'm going to have to do a lot more testing on my soil. What you really need to test when you are working with plants outdoor are 4 things. You need to test, yes, the moisture levels, but you also need to test the pH levels, the nutrients that your soil has, and the sunlight. So how many hours of sunlight are your plants getting? So those are 4 different things. The moisture meter only measures one of those things. You need to take care of the other 3 things to make sure that your plants are thriving. I found another product. It's a soil test kit, and this basically tests for 3 things. So 3 out of the 4 things. It'll test for the moisture, the sunlight, how many hours it's getting, and it'll test for the pH levels. For plants to thrive, they need to be at a pH level of about 6 to 7. If they're too acidic, there's problems. If they're too alkaline, there's problems. There are many kits in the market that you can buy. I checked out Home Depot, Amazon, and Lowe's, and I ended up buying this one for $11.97 at Lowe's, which is going to give me results for pH levels, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The kit comes with 4 little tubes with different colored caps and 4 different capsules marked with different colors. Each of the capsules is corresponding to each of the caps. So the green is going to test the pH level. The blue cap is for phosphorus, the purple one is for nitrogen, and the orange one is for potassium. So each little tube has 4 lines. You fill the first line with soil, then you open the corresponding color of the little capsule, and as you open it up, you take the contents out. I kind of had to rip it at the end. So you put all of the powder contents inside, and then the next step it says to do is to use distilled water and pour it up to the 4th line. Then you cap the tube and shake thoroughly. So it says to go ahead and let that develop for about a minute and to compare the color of solution to the chart. I went ahead and repeated the process for all 4 of the flasks that they provided. And then I'm going to show you the results that came about with it in comparison to the charts that they provide. It also says to allow the color to develop for 10 minutes. So I let that sit for a while, and I'm going to actually keep looking at it over time to see if it makes a change. But this is what it looked like 10 minutes later. And the hardest one to see was the one that was blue, which is the one for phosphorus. So I ended up taking it to the window to actually see if it looked better. And now we're going to look at what this actually means by examining the charts that they provided. The tube with a green cap is the one with a pH level, and to my surprise, it really came to be about a 6, quite possibly on the 6.5, slightly acidic, and so it really isn't that bad. The pH level is not the problem here. Let's look at the other ones. From what we can see here, the nitrogen levels, which is the pink purple, that one is very low. The potassium levels, which is the orange, is very low as well, and the phosphorus is pretty high. So far in this video, you have learned that this soil has low nitrogen, low potassium, high phosphorus, and it drains absolutely too fast. So what does this mean for a plant? Last year I had a hibiscus that was always yellowing with the leaves. So that's usually a clue that it could be low in nitrogen or potassium. In this case, both. So what could I do? I could add fertilizers that have those things in them. Maybe add some manure. I could also add some coffee grounds, or I could add a fish emulsion and some grass clippings to help improve. Is too much phosphorus in the soil bad? Yes, because it reduces the plant's ability to take up required micronutrients such as iron and zinc. And this may cause your plant to grow poorly or even die. Since I need to add nitrogen, but I don't want any more phosphorus, whenever I look for a fertilizer, I'm going to try to look for something that is low in phosphorus, such as a blood meal. How often should you test your soil? Well, if you have a new home or you've never worked in that area of your garden, you could test it. 2, you could probably test if the previous year you had bad luck with your plants. They always kept dying on you, yellowing, browning, just not performing. Or 3, every 3 years or so, when you think that maybe it's time to make amendments again. The last thing I want to do, if you're still wanting to check the moisture in your plants to see if they're getting enough water, is to check the soil. So there's 2 methods that you can do that. One is very common, and the second one is going to be using a little tool that you probably have in your kitchen at home. Let me show you what method most people know is to use your finger, right? So when you use your finger, you use in the first 2 lines of your finger, so this would be what, an inch or so, to test, you know, if anything sticks. And to be honest, this is pretty darn dry. I want to show you another method that you could use. You know those bamboo sticks that you use, the skewers for your barbecues or whatever, for your shish kebabs? These are also great to use. You could use a dowel or even a bigger dowel if you want to use them outside. And you're going to, instead of using your finger, if you don't want to put your finger in there and get dirty, say you got pretty nails or something. So you put this in there and it's pretty darn clean. Kind of like when you test a cake. So this is pretty dry right now. It is ready for water. Let me water these and then use this to show you the difference. All right, I'm back and I just added water to my aglaonoma. As we know, when water touches soil, it kind of makes mud, right? So we're looking for the muddier substance. So I'm gonna grab the other side of the stick, I guess, and I'm gonna insert it in there and let's see if it's any different. Sure is. It sure is. There's more dirt that's stuck on there, and I can tell that there is moisture in here. So that is one way that you can tell. So what I'm going to recommend that you do is categorize your plants into 3 categories. So one is going to be your low moisture needing plants, like the succulents, like the aloe vera. Those types of plants do not like a lot of water. They like to dry out between feedings. Then I will have my medium moisture plants. Most of the plants are going to be in that category. Then you're going to have your high watering plants. There are plants that require lots and lots of water. They're thirsty all the time. They constantly need to be watered. They do not like to dry out, and they can even withstand having their feet wet, their roots in the water a lot. Plants like these are elephant ears, any plant that really likes to be in swampy areas. So for example, papyrus is another one. Some plants are picky. You have to research before or when you buy what kind of plant it is, but just categorize them whether it's low, medium, or high watering needs. And then that way you can really have a better routine for those three, right? So you kind of group them like, this is the day that I'm going to do my low watering, and then this is the day I'm going to do my high watering, which is more often. If you like this video, give me that thumbs up, give me some love, send me a comment. Maybe I'll reply directly to you and get to know you, and let me know what kind of videos you want me to make. Become part of the community, because we're on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest, and I want to help you any way I can so that you can create bliss in your garden.